Salem's third annual Living Green and Renewable Energy Fair, organized by the Salem Chamber of Commerce in conjunction with the Salem Renewable Energy Task Force, took place on Saturday, June 19, 2010. The fair brought together green industry professionals, environmental advocates, and consumers from the Greater Boston and North Shore regions to discuss products, services, and information that encourage healthier, more sustainable consumption and lifestyles for businesses and families. All events were free and open to the public. Old Town Hall hosted vendor booths and exhibits by local environmental groups like Salem Alliance for the Environment, SAFE, and Salem Sound Coast Watch. Cinema Salem screened Fresh, the movie. Crunchy Granola Baby presented a Green Kids Zone. Bike workshops and green transportation were featured, and speakers shared tips with consumers. Today, we bring you one of those speakers, Audrey Schulman of Home Energy Efficiency Team, HEAT, with tips on home weatherization. HEAT is a Cambridge-based energy co-op bringing neighbors together to weatherize homes. The workshop discusses some of the basic elements involved with home weatherization.
Paul Marquis, I'm the Energy and Sustainability Manager for the City of Salem, and it's my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Audrey Schulman from Cambridge HEAT, Home Energy Efficiency Team. I always want to say Home Energy Efficiency Training. This is, and correct me if I get any of this wrong, Audrey, please. This is a group of citizens, residents, homeowners in Cambridge and surrounding communities who have put together this co-op with the goal of getting homes weatherized and improving energy efficiency in general through, insulating, air sealing, installing CFL light bulbs, etc. I'll let her cover the nitty-gritty details. But I'm particularly excited because we're trying to adapt and adopt the model of HEAT right here in Salem for our own weatherization program. As many of you know, we were recently designated a green community, and as such, we're entitled to some grant dollars. We'd like to take some of that grant money and create our own weatherization barn-raising program, as these programs are often known, right here in Salem. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Audrey. Yeah, I'm sorry, one last thing. Given that we're trying to launch a similar program here in Salem, we're trying to get volunteers. This program, as Audrey will point out, the success of these programs really hinges on the involvement of local residents. We need volunteers to create these armies of weatherization people to go into the target homes and actually do the work. So we've got sign-up sheets in the back of the room. If you're interested, please get your name there. If you're looking at this on Salem Public Access, email me at pmarquis, P-M-A-R-Q-U-I-S, at salem.com, and we'll get you on the list of volunteers. I'm going to hand it off to Audrey now.
Thanks. Okay, tell me if you can hear me okay? Not that there's that many. So, there we go. Yeah, I come from HEAT in Cambridge, and I'll tell you a little bit about the history and then give you some great clues about how to decrease energy in your own home, as well as, talk a little bit about the events that we do. So I'm going to try and make it look fun. About a little bit less than 2 years ago, during the Bush era, I was in a grassroots group where we were all depressed and felt that we weren't having any effect with all our letters to the editors and our demonstrations and such. So we decided we'd heard of this model called barn raisings, where people the community got together and would put solar thermal on people's roofs. And we thought it would be great to do something practical, something really hands-on to bring down carbon emissions. But we decided instead of doing solar thermal, where you have to have a south-facing roof and several $1,000s in cash, that instead we would do weatherizations, because, everybody's got a leaky windows, an attic hatch that hasn't been insulated. Everybody's got a little bit of work that needs to be done. It costs a lot less, and you get a much faster return on investment. People get excited about renewable energy because they see it. It's big and obvious. You see a windmill, you see a PV panel, but the things that really save money and save carbon emissions is weatherizing your building so that you're not constantly pumping fossil fuels up into the sky. And it makes great money sense. So we decided we'd have our first event with like 2 or 3 weeks notice. We got some materials together. We found a home. We called it a barn raising. We sent out some emails. We figured we'd maybe get 10 people, and instead about 40 people turned up. It was incredible monsoon, too. It was just pouring rain, and 40 people turned up, and they were so excited. Like, the thing about this is that people, it's a way of saving energy, it's a way of saving money, it's a way of making your house more comfortable, and helping to save the planet. Or at least not hurt the planet so much. And people seem to get, no matter who they are, they seem to get really into this idea. So you get a lot of volunteers, a lot of team leaders. How we arrange the events, we began to, after that point when we saw we had a lot of interest and that there were a lot of people out there who were willing to do it, we began to have them every month. We would find a site, preferably a really big energy hog, something with really high energy bills per square foot. And then we would figure out what the work is to be done, find the team leaders to do it. We try to keep a ratio of about 1 team leader per 4 volunteers so that the site is, so that the team leader can give really good instruction, and so that everybody, the building and the volunteers, are kept safe. Nobody's running around with a utility knife doing crazy stuff. I wish I had my notes. We find, and we've looked at the energy bills afterwards of the work that we've done, and we find that on average we're saving from 3 hours of work with like 15 to 50 people, depending upon how big the site is. We save about 10% on the electrical and 10% on the heating. We've looked at the energy bills pre and post event to sort of figure that out. So and it costs on average, in a home, it costs between $200 and $500 in materials. All the labor is free. And in a nonprofit, because we do a lot of nonprofit buildings also, the materials cost between $500 and $800. The savings for a home will last for about a decade and will be about $3,000 over a decade. And in a nonprofit will be $20,000 in terms of savings. So it's such an incredible, worthwhile investment. And what's great about it is it teaches the volunteers what to do so that all the volunteers learn hands-on skill. It's not classroom, it's not reading a book. There's somebody there actually showing you what to do and correcting you if you get it wrong. And it's just a beautiful model. So that we've surveyed our volunteers and found 76% of them actually go home to do the same work on their own home. So any savings we get in the actual building we're working on is multiplied by by 40, somewhere between 15 and 50 volunteers, depending on the event. It's a great way to disseminate really accurate energy efficiency knowledge. And I don't know if you've all gotten those incredible flyers that say 10 easy things to do to save the environment. They're almost always wrong. Like that whole change the furnace filter, ridiculous. It doesn't do dinky. Close the fridge really quickly will save you no money at all. What you want to do is insulate the building and air seal it. That will save you, it'll cost very little money. You won't have to act like some sort of crazy nervous rabbit in your house, closing the fridge really quickly or putting the tops on the pots when you're cooking. You can act like a normal person in a house. Your house will be warmer, more comfortable, it's more soundproof, have less vermin. Like, you know, insulation and air sealing is just so wonderful. And it doesn't mean that we have to change our behavior in a radical way. We'll save money too. And so what we do is we teach this sort of information to people in a hands-on way so that they feel inspired to do it. And if you know anything about social marketing, a lot of the research into social marketing shows that when people see lots of other people doing the same thing, they feel they should do it too. So we're marketing very strongly by having all these neighbors and friends work together on energy efficiency, that energy efficiency is something that all of us should do. So it works on a whole variety of ways. We've begun to assemble some tools and materials now that we have, but here's, you know, we also ask people to bring some tools to share. So it's just a very communal event, and people really trust each other and work with each other. It's also a great way to meet people. You know, like you're not socially awkward if you're both using a hammer. You know, you have something to do. It's sort of like walking the dog. I don't know if you've noticed, but people who have dogs always seem to know each other in the neighborhood. And then after about 3 hours of work, we have a band that plays, and we have generally pizza and foods, pizza and drinks. So people get to talk to each other and share ideas and network. By now we have a blower door. We've applied for a lot of grants so that a blower door helps us to check where it depressurizes the house. That's a big fan at the bottom of the door that you can see. And it pulls air out of the house so that you accelerate the leaking in the house. You can find where the leaks are. And you can also, there's the little computer thing that the guy in the green sweater is looking at tells you, quantifies exactly how fast that air is going out of the building. And with that, you can tell exactly how big the leaks are. If you took all the leaks and gaps in a building and pulled them together into one big hole, it'll tell you how big that hole would be. And, yep.
If I may, I just want to let everybody know that one of our exhibitors here today has one of these blower doors if you want to see it up close and personal. Joe Green Home Solutions, yeah.
Yeah, they're great things. And then you can go around the house and you can hold your hand over where you've always suspected that there's a leak, and you can feel there's a leak. And it's a great way of proving to people that their building is leaking in places they hadn't suspected. Some of the work that we do is work around windows and doors. Okay, so since we started less than 2 years ago, there's now been, I think, 21 different groups that have started up around Cambridge that we help. We do blower door tests for them. We help evaluate the buildings. So if you want to start a barn raising group here, and the reason why we call it barn raising, just as a side thing, is because it's a nice historical thing where communities would come together to pool their tools and skills and strength to take on tasks that no one person could handle. And fighting energy bills, rising energy bills, and fighting climate change is something we really have to get together. It's way too big a task for any one of us to take on. So the idea has been spreading like wildfire, and it's really awesome. Even Harvard University is having their own barn raisings now, which is great. Phillips Brooks House had its first one. And it being Harvard, it was done really efficiently and safely. They had to have liability waivers for you to even stand on site. It was incredible.